Oh, if only they made Cliff Notes for Congress. Granted, they can be a lot to read, but lawmakers voting on bills they haven't even read? The next guest says this is absurd and calls for an end to it right now. Colin Hanna is the president of Let Freedom Ring and started up something called WeThePeopleCanRead.org. And joins me right now. He kind of got that URL and it's his. Very good to have you, Colin. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Neil.
You know, we understand at this late hour that these guys, a lot of them on the committee, maybe the entire committee minus Max, don't have it. In other words, it would be like a proxy vote if you're part of a condo association and you don't have all the paperwork, but you're expected to vote on it the next day. That's kind of weird.
Well, it's kind of wrong, too. Think of it in a business sense. What would you expect the shareholders of a company to say if the company that they own stock in was introducing a major new product and all of the regional heads and the regional sales managers, division heads said, well, they weren't going to read about the new product. They had people in their office who could read about them, but they were just going to go out there and sell it. I think that the shareholders would be outraged. Well, in this case, the shareholders are the citizens, the voters, and in fact, they are outraged. They think that the legislators have a due diligence responsibility to the citizenry to really seriously comprehend these bills. And in fact, I think, Neil, that an even greater abuse may be on the verge of happening, and that is, instead of that kabuki dance that you talked about, that whole thing could be a diversion. I understand now that there are rumors that what's going to happen in the Senate is that they're actually going to cobble together a bill in the dark of night and jam that into a House bill and send it back to the House, thereby completely obviating the entire committee process. That's even worse than not reading the bill.
I didn't hear that. Well, that would not surprise me, but again, neither does this whole filibuster-proof thing where you can just get a simple majority. They're changing the rules as they go along. But, you know, Colin, whether you like this or I like this or don't like this or debate this, this is going to happen. I'm not smart enough to say what the final package will look like, but we'll get a package. And many conservatives will say, yeah, but we reined in the excessive spending. But once you have it, it doesn't go away. Once government is there, it doesn't go away. And once government starts out, albeit small, in this case it's not small, but smaller than we thought, it will still be big.
That's exactly right. But there's still time for a new wave of public outrage about the possibility of this abuse of process, of crafting a bill that not only the senators haven't read, but that nobody has had a chance to see. That's what WeThePeopleCanRead.org is all about, promoting the notion of a 72-hour internet posting period before voting can occur.
So when you hear Nancy Pelosi, I'm sorry, Colin, when you hear Nancy Pelosi and other leaders read in the Senate saying, we don't support this, we're not even going to let that come up as a measure to vote on. They're more or less tempting fate. They're more or less saying guys like you and the rage you represent is a vocal minority, but just a minority. What do you say?
Well, I don't think it's a vocal minority. In fact, we just did 2 surveys over the last 2 weekends that specifically inquired, and this was a broad base of registered voters, about support for 72-hour internet posting. And Neil, 2 different surveys, 2 different pollsters, 2 different methodologies, both came back with 91% support.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, I tell you, you've been a one-man band. I got to hand it to you on this, and you've been relentless. We'll see what happens.
I think we've got a lot more into this band.
Yeah, I think it has grown. It has. We'll see. Colin Hanna, thank you very, very much.